The figures are so stupendous. Dr. C. Jordan Hurry of the University of Chicago, that astonishing astronomical figures dealing the hundreds of millions of light years become insignificant by comparison. It has been determined that there are from 10 billion to 14 billion nerve cells in the human cerebral cortex, and we know that these are arranged in the definite pattern. These arrangements are not haphazard, they are orderly. Recently developed method of electrophysiology draw of action current from very precisely located cells and fibers with microelectrode, amplify them with radio tube, and record potential difference to millions of volts. It's inconceivable that a network of intricate machinery should be in existence for the sole purpose of carrying on the physical function incidental to growth and maintenance of the physical body. It is not likely that the same system which gives billions of brain cells medium of communication one with another provide also the means of communication with other intangible forces. The New York Times published the editorial showing that at least one great university and one intelligent investigator in the field of mental phenomenon are carrying on organized research through which conclusions have been reached there. Parallel many of those described in this. The following chapter, the editorial brief analyzed the work carried on by Dr. Ryan and his associate at Duke University, Patch Telepathy. A month ago, we cite on this page some of the remarkable results achieved by Professor Ryan and his association in Duke University from more than 100,000 tests to determine the existence of telepathy and clairvoyance. These results are summarized in the first two articles in Harper's Magazine. In the second, which now appeared, there was E.H. Wright attempt to summarize what has been learned or what seemed reasonable to infer regarding the exact nature of these extrasensory modes of perception. The actual existence of telepathy and clairvoyance now seem to some scientists enormously probable as a result of Ryan's experiment. Various participants were asked to name as many cards in a special pack of they could without looking at them and without other sensory access to them. About a score of men were discovered who could regularly name so many of the cards correctly that there was not one chance in many of millions of their having done their piece by luck or accident. But how did they do them? These powers, assuming that they exist, and do not seem to be sensory. This is no known organ of them. The experiment works just as well at a distance of several hundred miles as they did in the same room. This fact also disposes in Mr. Wright's opinion of the attempt to explain telepathy and clairvoyance through any physical theory of radiation. All known form of radiant energy decline inversely at the scale of distance traversed. Telepathy and clairvoyance do not, but they do vary through physical cause as the other mental power do. Contrary to widespread option, they do not improve when the percipient is asleep or half asleep. But on the contrary, when he is most wide awake and alert, Ryan discovered that the narcotic will invariably lower the percipient score, while a stimulant will always send in higher. The most reliable performer apparently cannot make a good score unless he tries to do his best. One conclusion that Wright draws with some confidence is that telepathy and cleverance is really one and same gift. This is the faculty, is the seed, the card face down on a table seems exactly the same one. The is the soul reading of another mind. There are several grounds for believing this. So far, for example, the two gifts have been found in every person who enjoyed either of them. In everyone so far, the two have been equal bigger, almost exactly. Screens, wall, distance have no effect at all on either. I advance from this conclusion to express what he puts forward as no more than the mere hunch that other extrasensory experience, prohibit dream, premonitions of disaster, and the like may also prove to be part of the same faculty. The reader is not asked to accept any of these conclusions unless he finds it necessary, but the evidence that Rime has piled up must remain impressive. How to join mind in teamwork? In view of Dr. Rime's announcement in connection with the condition under which the mind responds to what he terms extrasensory modes of perception, I now feel privileged to add to his testimony by stating that my associate and I have discovered what he believed to be the ideal condition under which the mind can be stimulated so that the sixth sense described in the next chapter can be made to be function in a practical way. The conditions to which I refer consist of a close working alliance between myself and two members of my staff. Through experimentation and practice, we have discovered how to stimulate our mind by applying the principle used to connection with the invisible counselor described in the next chapter, so that we can, by the process of blending our three minds into one, find a solution to a great variety of personal problems which are so big in my clients. The procedure is very simple. We sit down at the conference table, clearly state the nature of the problem we have under consideration, then begin discussing it, which contribute to whatever thought may occur. The strange thing about this method of mind stimulation is that it places each participant in communication with the unknown source of knowledge definitely outside his own experience. If you understand the principle described in the chapter on the mastermind, you of course recognize the round table procedure here described as being a practical application of the mastermind. This method of mind stimulation through harmonious discussion of a definite subject between three people illustrate the simplest and most practical use of the mastermind. By adopting and following a similar plan, any students of this philosophy may come to possession of the famous Carnegie formula briefly described in the introduction. If it means nothing to you at this time, mark this page and read it again after you have finished the last chapter.